Alright everyone, I'm going to show you how to modify a tube screamer to have the maximum amount of gain. I call this mod the Hyper Screamer. This mod has so much gain it doesn't even have a drive knob, just an clipping LED diode that reacts to your guitar playing. I have a couple of other videos on how to hot rod a tube screamer, which is basically a tube screamer on steroids. A video called the Tandem Boost mod, which adds a foot switch that engages a secondary boosted volume, as well as making the circuit sound more like a modern drive. And now I have this video that shows you how to get the maximum amount of gain out of a tube screamer. Again, that is called the Hyper Screamer. Okay, for this mod, we're going to need 2.1 UF capacitors, one 10K resistor, two 1K resistors, and two 1 meg resistors. We're also going to need a 3mm red LED and a 5mm green LED. I already unsoldered all the parts that we're going to be taking out, so all I have to do is pull the parts out as we go. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to remove these two green capacitors on the top right, this one and this one, and we're going to replace them with our 0.1 UF capacitors. Alright, it should look blank like that. Alright, yours should look something like that, depending on what style of capacitor you are using. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to remove this resistor right here, which was right underneath the capacitors we just worked on. This is a 4.7K resistor. We're going to remove that and replace it with a 1K resistor. Alright, yours should look blank like that. Alright, yours should look something like that. Sorry for the big resistor. I didn't have any more quarter watt resistors. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to take off this resistor right here to the right of that transistor. This is a 510K, and we're going to replace that with a 1 meg. Alright, yours should look something like that. Next thing we're going to do is take this resistor off in the corner to the right side of this transistor. Again, this is a 510K resistor, and we're going to remove that and replace it with the other 1 meg resistor. Okay, yours should look something like that. Now, we're going to take off this resistor right here to the right of that capacitor. This is a 470 ohm resistor, and we're going to replace that with another 1K resistor. Alright, yours should look something like that. Again, sorry for the oversized resistor. The next resistor we're going to replace is the one to the left of the capacitor, that one right there. That's a 100K, and we're going to replace it with a 10K resistor. Alright, now yours should look something like that. Alright, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take off this resistor right here at the top, and we're also going to be removing the two clipping diodes in the middle right there. Alright, yours should look blank like that. Next, we're going to take our red LED. Now, when you're looking at an LED, the long stem is the positive, the short stem is the negative. So we're going to take our long stem and we're going to put it on the top left side of where the diodes are. Okay, it should look something like that. Okay, now we're going to get our green LED. Again, the long stem is the positive, the short stem is the negative. I'm going to solder a wire, a red wire, onto the positive lug and a black wire onto the negative lug. And it should look something like that. Now I'm going to take the positive side and I'm going to put it on the bottom right where the diodes go. And of course I'm going to take the black wire and I'm going to put it on the left side. Okay, your LED, your green LED should be on the bottom and the red on the top. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to unsolder this green and brown wire that should be pad 9 and 10. And we're going to remove the drive potentiometer. I'm going to put an LED holder in that spot, and I'm going to move our green LED that we just installed in that area. Alright, there it is. All that's left to do is to test it out.